Barcelona continue to be one of the most interesting champions in Europe. The off-season has been busy. They've paid off much of their long-standing debt, even Messi's deferred salary. Here's a live footage of him seeing that money go into his account. Let me tell you something. If you can defer 50 million euros, you don't need it. The new Camp Nou is edging closer and closer to completion, and Lamine Yamal's blonde, big-boobed dwarf 18th birthday party was in the news. He needs guidance. I don't know if any of this is true in his case, but obviously, in my case, I've been there before. I know everyone watching this video has been there before. Hello, how are we doing? Welcome back. Barcelona, hey. Where do we start? How about with Nico Williams? So it's old news now, but Nico Williams for a while looked like he was going to be the marquee signing for Barcelona in this summer. And then he went ahead and signed an 8-year deal with Athletic Bilbao. When it comes to making decisions, for me, the most important is to listen to your heart. I am where I want to be, with my people. This is my home, Aupa Athletic. Those are the words from the man himself upon signing that new contract and declining Barcelona. And I gotta tell you, that's not just a refusal, that's an F you, I'm done negotiating. Now, I'm not entirely sure what the reason for this, what seemed as though it was a quick turnaround, was for him not wanting to go to Barcelona, but it happened pretty quickly. Was it the money? Now, I know Bilbao are famous for not signing big money players and only fielding Basque-affiliated players. Unsurprisingly, that probably equates to them being able to offer their best player apparently 10 to 15 euros a year in net. They have the money, no doubt about that. There's also the problem with registering players that they have, the same issue that put them being able to field Dani Olmo when he signed from RB Leipzig last year in jeopardy. One report I saw said that the Williams camp were wary of signing for Barca because they wouldn't allow a clause that would allow Williams to move to another club in the event they weren't able to register him. And this reason probably does have quite a bit of weight. His Spanish teammate Marc Cucurella came out recently in an interview saying this is very likely one of the things he was afraid of. And then there was another report that said that Barcelona were trying to get Williams to leave his current agent and sign with another agent that would potentially be more malleable for their needs in negotiations. I guess what this unnamed Barcelona official doesn't know is that the entire Williams family is extremely close to this agent, Felix Tainta, hope I'm pronouncing that right, the same guy who apparently drove Iñaki Williams 3 hours to training twice a week when he was a youngster, and also gifted him his first pair of boots. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, man, if that is true, then that seems like a pretty good reason to walk away from any potential deal. Like I said, I don't know where the truth lies, but doesn't really matter. The man's staying, he's at Bilbao, and good for him. The Williams brothers deserve to have a long-lasting legacy at Bilbao. They already are legends at this point, right? But the story goes on. And at the end of the day, I have zero doubt that he absolutely loves Athletic Club. Now on to the man of the hour, Marcus Rashford. If you can't get Nico Williams, then how about go for another left-sided player that was once thought of as a prodigy in his country? Now, obviously, as a United fan, I'm not super happy with how things turned out. I spoke about that in the previous video, but we have to move on at the end of the day, and it looks like Rashford is doing just that. Pretty cool official reveal video. I see they're really leaning into the stereotypes here. What's a red telephone booth doing in Barcelona? Reminds me of that polar bear in Texas. It's pretty crazy to think that there haven't been any other English players to play for Barcelona since Gary Lineker in the late 80s. I even heard in his honor they were gonna make Rashford wear commemorative brown shorts. I wonder why. I know that it may not mean much to a lot of non-United fans, but he is probably a top 5, maybe even top 3 United player over the last 10 years. Probably top 3 if we're all being honest, because who else does United have in those spots? David De Gea and Bruno Fernandes are top 2 for sure, and they're way ahead of everyone else. And then in that third spot, Paul Pogba, maybe for a couple of months at a time. Anthony Martial for really the same. And Rashford is a really good player on his day. Barcelona themselves saw that firsthand when United and them last played each other in the Europa League playoffs. Was that's what it was, right? All I know is that it was a new round that was made up for that year for the first time. Just look at this goal that he scored from a very tight angle. It was brilliant. And it came in a particularly hot streak in February of 2023 where he scored about 7 or 8 goals and assisted twice. That year, he had 42 goal contributions and was rewarded with a massive $300K plus a week contract. And it seems that everything went downhill from there. But even still, in this most recent campaign, 24-25, for both Manchester United and Aston Villa, the man managed to pick up 20 goal contributions, 9 goals and 11 assists all in all. Again, mostly coming off the bench. Everyone can make their jokes here and there about Rashford this, Rashford that. A lot of United fans have bashed him in the past. I'm not excluding myself from that group, but when he's actually motivated and he wants to play ball, there are very, very few teams in the world that he's not going to be able to improve at the very least, as a starter, as a rotation player, whatever. All he needs is to be motivated, but that right there, that is the catch, isn't it? And I tell you what, he's even shown in recent games that he still has that ability to show up. He could have easily knocked the European champions PSG out in the UCL quarterfinals last year. He started over Ollie Watkins, produced a wonderful assist where he made Fabio Ruiz and João Neves look like school kids, forced Donnarumma into some crazy saves. I know for a fact that this factored into Barcelona's decision-making. And really, who can provide more motivation than the Spanish champions and sunny Mediterranean Barcelona? Some say that it's the only city in the world that has better weather than Manchester. It's what the streets are saying. Also, it's going to be very interesting to see Jude Bellingham and Trent Alexander-Arnold versus Rashford. So, where will he play? Rashford is what most people would probably call a classic inside forward, somewhere in between a striker and a winger. So realistically, he can play in both positions. It's a good quality to have, and it's a good acquisition for them. Rafinha can be described as something similar, although he has more central tendencies and can be on either flank. Rafinha did play most of his games on the left-hand side last season, and with the season that he had, I find it very difficult to believe that anybody in world football is able to go into that team and usurp his position in that starting lineup. But having said all of that, it does seem that Barcelona prefer to have him central or just fluid in general, or maybe he does himself. Over here we can compare the heat maps of Rashford and Rafinha over the league seasons. It paints a telling picture over what positions they occupy. Rashford is also a better dribbler than Rafinha in my eyes, so I guess a better candidate for the wide areas. And much of Barcelona's game plan last year was to do as much as they possibly can to isolate Lamine Yamal against his opposite defending number, which is not a bad plan. It works. It works a lot. So between Rashford, Yamal, Rafinha, Torres, and Lewandowski, you have a very deadly combination. With the exception of probably Lewandowski and Yamal, we're not going to see these players stick to one position all season, I'm fairly certain. All I'm saying is that I would really love to see Rashford step up, work hard, repair his name, get back into the England squad for the World Cup, and maybe even make United a bit of money. Unless he becomes the best player in the world, in which case we want him back. I have no doubt that Hansi Flick is more than capable of being the man that brings that old Marcus Rashford back. This man made me a fan of Ferran Torres, for example. I remember not thinking that much about him a year, maybe 2 ago, and I think Barcelona fans were probably on the same page of not really rating him all that much. But in my mind right now, I have his performance in the most recent Clásico. You know, the one where he just dominated, he had a hat-trick of assists, I think, in that game. I might be wrong. I'm not going to double check it. We're shooting from the hip today. This is also the last year on Robert Lewandowski's contract at the moment, and I believe he will be earning the most out of every year that he's been at the club, which is how they got him to sign in the first place, where they gradually increased his salary as the years went on. He got a lot of flack last year, lots of missed chances, and I understand it. I watched a lot of Barcelona last season, but he still scored 42 goals in only 52 games as a 36-year-old. Evidently, he still has a lot to offer. And then we have Ter Stegen, who apparently right now there is currently being an attempt to force him out of the squad. Haven't seen that happen with Barcelona before, but the man still has a contract for many, many years. And his kids and family are settled. Looks to me like he's willing to become the anti-work king. Because Barca did go ahead and sign Joan Garcia from Espanyol. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know too much about him, but from what I've seen, people do rate him highly. And it also seems like he's being tipped to be the #1 next year. So let's just watch this space. And there we have it. Some interesting stuff coming out from Barcelona. I'm enjoying doing these little videos on the, market updates and whatever it is. Like I said, next week will probably be Spurs or Newcastle early in the week. We'll see what they do over the course of the next couple of days or so. But until then, you have the podcast to look forward to. Released an episode the other day on The Origins of Liverpool, Bill Shankly, Bob Paisley, Joe Fagan, all that good stuff. If you want to check it out, links below, Spotify, Apple Music. And that's all for me today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you're having a great day. Cheers, and I will catch you in the next one.